I think Beyonce left clues in the DELRESTO music video even though she wasn't in it. Like first look at the square box coming down. This further proves my square theory for Act 3, which I'll cover in another video because that video is definitely long overdue. But just look at the symbol inside the box, what does it remind you of? First, it reminds me of the triangle Beyonce had in the interlude and how I said that the door in 6 inch will play a role in Act 3 because of the scene from the Peep Show interlude, and how I talked about how she did this in the 6 inch music video. And on the old channel, I also pointed out why I think Haunted will be a part of Act 3 because she recreated this scene from Haunted in the Beat Watch video. And I even tweeted about what songs I think she will include in Act 3. Because I think Haunted and 6 inch is two of them, including Superpower. And you could check out this video on why I think Superpower will play a role as well. And check out the Twitter if you want to see theories before I turn them into videos. But to keep going, there was even a theory that someone pointed out that this concert stage could potentially be her stage for Act 3. And I could see that based on the red lighting, the rectangular screen, and the keyhole symbol itself is also a genius design. But however, I still think she's following that PlayStation theory where everything is like a game, similar to what Kendrick showed us at the 2025 Super Bowl. And Beyonce, Kendrick, Bad Bunny, and Jay-Z are all players in that game, and I've done videos on all of them. And while I think this rectangle object with the doorway symbol is foreshadowing something, but how it comes down, it's like a glowing spaceship in box form trying to land. And even up close, the doorway has that reddish orange color. And the doorway itself plays a major role. Like just look at this Renaissance transition scene, which also makes me think about this scene from 6 inch and how the camera moves in. And that reminded me of the time traveling interlude from Cowboy Carter and how it also moves in. And if you compare the transitions side by side, the ending literally finishes with the square frame after traveling through all of the doorways through time. So I don't think the keyhole itself will be a part of the next stage design because it's too obvious. But I do think it could be a hint towards the next stage somehow. But Beyonce has always used this entrance style, like even when you think of the Beyonce Bowl and her entrance into the stadium. Now let's look at the taxi. Then think about the taxi in the telephone music video and compare it to the taxi in the Cowboy Carter visuals. Then we move into the bed scene where Travis has a bed set up just like Beyonce's. Now let's go to the gas station scene. Now pay attention to this red clock and the woman standing underneath it. Then compare it to this scene from Beyonce's pool hall commercial. Then look at the red timer on the Renaissance screen. Now look at the clock she added to the Yaya lyric video and the time being 9:04. And I'll be talking more about this theory next, so stay tuned for that. But I feel like all of this time correlates. But I talked about this next theory in my American Hat Theory video, which was about the woman standing here that I talked about. And how she's like an alien. And also how Beyonce had her face painted in one of the interludes in Cowboy Carter. But then look at the square on the wall behind her, which resembles the square or rectangle on the door in 6 inch. And going back to how someone puts their hand through it to grab the cowboy, just like how Beyonce grabbed Cowboy Carter, which I talked about in the first ever video on this channel, which was a breakdown of the 6 inch music video. Then it goes to a scene where he's sleeping on that same round bed as if
it was all a dream.
Then let's move on to the DJ and how the DJ booth and the disco ball is all Renaissance coded, like even down to the dancing scenes, compared to the Lose Yourself in Love visual that Beyonce did with Tiffany & Co. But what was really crazy to me was how at the same time they sprinkled in a little bit of Cowboy Carter because of the outfits in these scenes, which felt very Cowboy Carter inspired. And finally, the symbol on the man whose hand he shakes reminds me of the wreath on the Black American Heritage flag, in which I've been saying for almost 2 years now that I feel like this flag is coming right along with Beyonce.